We moved to Kansas City in 2008, and actually we're in a place where had been looking for several years for a church where we could feel comfortable and feel like we could be ourselves and not necessarily have to worship one way or another. We stumbled upon Shoal Creek and have been here ever since. So about 5 years now, off and on, yeah.
You just came, there wasn't anybody that invited you or anything?
No, we lived close by and had always driven by and said, you know what, let's check out Shoal Creek. Well, we both grew up in Lutheran families. My upbringing, there was always an awareness of God and of religion, and I went to confirmation class when I was younger, and we went to church, but it was kind of irregular, and for me it was always kind of a thing I had to do. I never really took away from it any sort of desire or passion or even a sense of belonging from it. And for my wife, I think it was much different. She was also Lutheran, but when we met, she was very in touch with her spiritual side and with God, and was very familiar with the Bible. And her family was, they lived it much more than I did. So I think it was something that she really wanted after we got married. And she kind of drove the bus as far as us trying to find a church where we could really be comfortable. And to the point in which we found Shoal Creek, I was just kind of along for the ride. I mean, I wanted God in my life, and I wanted, I've always had a belief in God and in, the Bible, but I just had never really found a connection to it. And when we found Shoal Creek, it just kind of changed everything from the way that we could worship on Sunday to the challenges that were presented to us to consider throughout our week, and discussion about how to use the Bible practically and to make it part of our lives instead of just something that you go to and do on a Sunday. It was just a dramatic change for us, something that we're still growing into. And then once we started a group, it really hit home on a whole new level for me anyway. And my wife, I think it's a lot more in line with kind of what she's wanted out of her spirituality and out of a church and out of that sort of just an environment in which she could worship. But for me, it was just really eye-opening. We got involved in our first group through some connections that my wife had made through volunteering in Tot Zone on occasion, and we were invited to a group with some people that had been going to Shoal Creek certainly longer than we had, and had already been in a group previously. And it was kind of scary for me. I had kind of just gotten to a place where I was really comfortable going to Shoal Creek every Sunday and trying to really put the message from Sunday that we were taking home into practice in my life. And now my wife is asking me to take it to a whole other level, and it's like now I have to go talk to people about it, and I'm not really a talker. Like, I don't really share much of anything personally with anybody, so it was kind of scary to have to go into that setting with people I didn't know and present myself in that manner. So I didn't really know what to expect at first, but when we got into it, I knew there was going to be some discussion about the Bible and some really getting into the Bible and making it more of a tool to really enhance our faith instead of just something to go home and read after church. But I didn't realize that there was so much more to the group process, and when we got into it and started discussing what am I thankful for every week, and what's stressing me out this week, and what do I need? At first, I was kind of reluctant to share things, but as more people in the group would share more openly, and I decided, you know what, why don't I try and see what I can share and what we can get out of this? And it kind of became a place for me where I could share with people who I knew weren't going to judge me, and in a place where I started to feel really safe. And the point I'm at now, I it's something I really look forward to. I look forward to being able to go and not only share what's stressing me out or, what I'm thankful for that week, but, actually being able to go and say, what, I do have a need this week. Here's what's going on in my life. And even be able to offer assistance for other people and what they have that's bothering them or what they need. And it's just really been a way for us to not only connect with others and feel even more at home at Shoal Creek and feel like we're not in this alone in terms of our spiritual journey, but to just have people to turn to and be completely honest with without fear of, being perceived in a certain way or without fear of just not being able to let my guard down. I wasn't really familiar with the Bible growing up. I mean, I went to church and I prayed on occasion when I needed something, but the Bible for me was something that, I just opened up on Sunday when I had to, when the pastor asked us to open it up. And it never really went beyond the walls of the church for me. And I think that as I got older and started to feel somewhat of a desire to become closer to God and to explore my faith, I really didn't know where to start with the Bible. It kind of became this big intimidating presence that was not really enhancing my connection to God, but was kind of a barrier because I just felt like it was so foreign to me. And starting with the next steps that are, a continuance of the service every Sunday, to then taking it into the group setting and being able to focus on very specific verses and really not just read them and then go home or read them and then put the Bible away, but to then really explore what each verse or what each passage means to me, and then have the other members of my group share what it means to them, and to really think about, what does this passage tell us about God? What does this passage tell us about man? And what does that mean for me? It became not only a lot more comfortable for me to dive into the Bible and feel less intimidated by it, but it challenged me to think about what I was reading in a way that I had never really explored before, so it was good. Yeah, in addition to talking about things that we're thankful for, that are stressing us out, or that we need, after we've explored the passages that we're going to look into each week, we have to come up, we don't have to, but we have the opportunity to come up with an I will statement that we're going to commit to striving for, or it may be something that we're physically going to do, or just a way that we're going to carry ourselves, or maybe even just something that we're going to explore for the course of the next week. And it was really tough at first, and I found myself very tied to what we had just read in the Bible and feeling like I had to come up with something that was completely relevant and matched up exactly with what the message was. And over time, I became a little bit more comfortable with not feeling like I had to be so regimented in it, but thinking more in terms of, what did I take away from this week, from our group session and from what we just explored in the Bible, and how can I take some portion of that, whether it's something someone else shared or a way that I felt, or even specifically what I learned or what I read in the Bible, and how can I put it into practice in my life. And it's just really challenged me to think about the Bible as something more than just this book that I read, but really as a guide to how to live my life. And it's been tough at times, and there's times when we reconvene for group the next time, and maybe I didn't do a great job at executing my I will for that week, but there's some accountability there. I don't want to be the one that goes into group and says, well, I didn't do my I will for the week, but it's also not to the point where I get beat up about it. It's a very supportive setting, and we're all human. And I think the best thing about the I will statements is that it really just brings us together in that mission of making the Bible and making God's Word part of our lives. And whether we crossed off every box that we wanted to with our I will statement, we're growing closer to God in the process. So I think that's the biggest thing I've taken away from it. I was never one to just pick up the Bible and read at home before, but as I've gotten more and more into the group process, it's become a lot more comfortable for me to not only really read the next steps and take meaning out of what I'm reading, but to be able to feel like I'm able to pick up the Bible and spend some time with it without having necessarily a plan or something specific that I'm trying to read for a purpose, but to just feel more comfortable even navigating the Bible and being able to get my hands in there and just get closer to God and feel closer to God. Well, for me, I think I've changed not only personally, but in my marriage to my wife, Katie, we're able to tackle problems or challenges or circumstances that we're facing in our life and not only feel closer to God through the time that we devote to the Bible now and to connecting with one another, but also through our group and the discussion that we have. We certainly spend time in our group sessions reading the Bible and discussing the verses, but we also just spend a lot of time sharing what's going on in each other's lives. And I think it's made me a lot more willing to let people in. And before, I was pretty reluctant to do that. I had very few people in my life that I would say, hey, I've got a problem, like something's going on and I need to talk about it. And I would just kind of internalize all that and just fight through it. And sometimes I did a pretty bad job of that and things could really wear me down. But as we get into our group every week, it's something that I really look forward to be able to go in and honestly tell people like, hey, listen to what happened to me that was really exciting, or, I need some help with something. This is a challenge that I'm facing. What do you think? And we take it beyond just what we're reading in the Bible and really make it personal for one another.
You seem like a really tender-hearted guy. Is that new?
I think the fact that I probably show it a little more is new. I think I've always, I've always been kind of, I don't know if emotional is the right word, but I don't know, there's a lot going on inside, and I feel like before I just never really showed it. I mean, I felt like I always had to have this exterior that presented myself in a way that I could feel comfortable with, which was, that everything's okay, everything's fine, I'm confident, I've got everything under control, and I think I'm a lot more willing now to tell people if there's something bothering me, or even to tell people if I'm concerned about them. I mean, before, I was a lot more reluctant to see something that might be going on with somebody, whether it was in their demeanor or their body language or even something that they said. I was a lot more reluctant to reach out and say, hey, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Or even just what's going on? And now I'm just more willing to have that two-way dialogue and let people in. So I think it's allowed me to kind of embrace that side of myself a little bit more, and I feel better when I can talk to people about what's going on with me internally, and also, if I can help somebody else, even through just listening, it's something that I'm a lot more capable to do now and that I just feel more comfortable with. I think our marriage has definitely changed in the fact that I know that my wife and I both feel closer to God, and I think it's helped our marriage because I know that from the time we got married, she really wanted that, and I didn't necessarily feel that desire or that need. I had, my faith and my perception of what church was and what church meant to me was kind of fragmented and really up and down throughout my childhood, and I didn't see it as a critical piece of marriage, but that has completely turned around for me, and I know that my wife and I can't do this alone. I know that we need God in our lives, and marriage isn't easy, but we don't have to figure it out on our own. I mean, He's there with us, and it's just given us a lot more, we're a lot calmer when something's bothering us because we know we don't have to figure it out on our own. When I think of my kids and what I want their lives to be like as they grow up, I want them to be connected to God. I want them to be familiar with the Bible, and I want them to understand the impact that their faith can have on their lives. And I don't want them to grow up like me and not really understand, what an impact God can have on them. And I want them to be able to have a spiritual journey that will allow them to connect to others and be a part of something that's bigger than just them on their own.